widely reported that Pascal, alongside Downey, is one of the main leads of the film. They even implied in that lineup of chairs that Pascal would be getting second billing to Downey, which is fitting because any movie with Dr. Doom as the main villain has to have Mr. Fantastic front and center. So while I'm skeptical about Evans claiming he's not in the movie, I wouldn't be surprised if the role is smaller than what we're used to. And can we also just take a moment to acknowledge the hilarity behind Dakota Johnson having no idea who Steve Rogers is?
Well, you're so sweet. It's Captain America.
Alright, I'm no body language expert, but it's pretty well established that breaking eye contact and looking down can be a tell that somebody is lying. I don't know what you're talking about. And there's also the dramatic not invited to the party line that makes me think that Evans was definitely invited to the party. Actors lying about not being in a project is nothing new. I mean, the most popular example is Andrew Garfield's insistence that he was not in Spider-Man No Way Home.
I'm not the werewolf.
And sometimes it's more subtle, like when Michael Rooker visited the set of Avengers Infinity War for a selfie just so people wouldn't know that he died in Guardians 2. I mean, guys, the Avengers cast is huge. Not only are they bringing back Robert Downey Jr., but also the original Fox-era X-Men team. Now, in previous videos, we've talked about how heavy hitters like Tom Holland's Spider-Man were missing from the Doomsday cast. And we've also speculated there's likely another 25 names or so yet to be announced. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has confirmed that only some of the Doomsday cast has been revealed and that there are more to come. So maybe the next 5-hour live stream of chairs will feature Evans. Hey, person? Man now? Well, he was always an old man, but yes, you're right. At the end of Avengers Endgame, Steve returned to the MCU as an elderly man. But there are so many possibilities for Evans' role in this movie. He doesn't have to be playing our Steve Rogers. Hell, he doesn't even have to be playing Steve Rogers at all. We've already seen Chris Evans return to his role of Johnny Storm in Deadpool and Wolverine. And rumor has it that he'll be appearing in the upcoming Fantastic Four First Steps, reprising his role as a variant of Johnny Storm. Yeah, not that one. I am joined here by two of my all-time favorite people. We have the guy who lives in the television but doesn't know it, so please don't tell him, Colton Ogburn, and our friend who's always on break, Tommy Bechtold. Guys, first of all, it's pretty fun news to think about this. I hope we don't get too carried away as Chris Evans back, whatever. Before we get into whether or not he should be back and if this is a good direction for Marvel, hell with it. Give me your theories. Who wants to throw out a theory about how Chris Evans could return? Colton, Colton Ogburn in the television. Yes, Colton, go ahead.
Oh, I missed that last bit. I like the idea. Okay, so we know that like Joe Biden, Steve Rogers is like in at the end of Endgame. He is in
who genuinely looks like Joe Biden.
Yes,
I think we both caught crap for like, we're not saying that like, oh, we're not getting political with it.
Yeah, not
the dude looks like Joe Biden.
Yeah,
it looks
not
like
a political.
Joe Biden to come in and play him.
Yeah, not a political statement whatsoever. They just genuinely look like.
If he looked like Ronald Reagan, we would say Ronald Reagan.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we know he is in the MCU. Some suggest he is on the moon, but we know he is there. We have not seen a funeral. Perhaps it's possible that he traveled back to his other universe afterwards, but I doubt it. I think that old man Steve Rogers is still in the MCU, and I think it's been kind of weird that they haven't referenced him. We haven't seen him at all, kind of like that statue from the Eternals. You think that instead of referencing that in Brave New World, we might have seen a glimpse of Steve Rogers. Anyway, I like the idea of in Endgame them using the passing time through you instead of you through time thing that we saw them do with Ant-Man when the Hulk was taking his crack at time travel. Go recruit old man Steve. Have him say that he's just not up to the challenge. He's graduated from his war days. He's old now. And then say, well, you remember in Endgame when Hulk did that thing? Turn him young again. Boom. We have the exact same Steve Rogers, and he's young.
But that machine was destroyed. I do want to throw that out there. The only thing they have now is like the little mini one, which maybe I could honestly see the Avengers destroying that so nobody could ever use it again. I do think they would do that. And without Tony Stark there to build it, they wouldn't have a way to. And I want to throw this out there. This just occurred to me for the first time. Yes, we see old man Joe Biden Steve on the bench. And there's the whole thing with Marcus and McFeely saying, oh, he lived out his life in the MCU. And the Russo brothers saying, no, he went to an alternate reality.
Right.
So when he's at the bench at the end of the movie, we don't see him like get up and like walk back over. But I think it makes total sense if he did go back to his own universe. So he may not even be on the moon or on Earth. You know, there's also that.
That could be where the whole he's on the moon thing came from, is that he actually just dipped back to his universe, and maybe they didn't want to share that information.
Yeah, I know. I do think Falcon the Winter Soldier handled it really well, with Sam just kind of being like, and we don't talk about it. Secrets. Tommy, what about you? What are your theories on how Stevie can come back?
I'm going to say something that is probably just going to be laughed at, but I think, we're setting a precedent with Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom. I want to see Chris Evans back as Hydra Cap. I want a dark version of our original Avengers. I'd actually like to see all, 6 of them come back and be dark variants of themselves. So we have an evil Black Widow, we have an evil Thor, or even a different, if Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as Doom, have Thor come back as Doc Ock or something. I don't, not really like that, but you know what I mean. Have him come back as a different character that is comically. Comic book wise perceived as evil.
So kind of a Doom Vengers, his
yes, exactly.
That'd be fun. You got to admit that all these characters, that's possible because all of these characters from the original 6 do have really dark sides, right? Mm-hmm. So Black Widow was, what if Clint had never interfered? What if, say, Bobby, Clint's, well, no, wait, they don't call her Bobby, and she's Mockingbird. What if Mockingbird would have died in Clint's past, so he became Ronin sooner? Yeah. I mean, what if the Hulk just stayed the Hulk and never met the Avengers or went through whatever off-screen things he went through to control his meditation? Hydra Cap is a tougher variation. I don't know what could have happened in Steve's past. Maybe if Bucky would have died when they were kids. Yeah. So he didn't have
maybe someone who just gets really
bullies.
Disenfranchised with America and gets persuaded by Hydra to work for them or something, or it's just a guy that's just born evil.
Hydra
the serum could also be just a little off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Instead of bringing out the best, and somebody could bring out the worst. Yeah.
Would maybe be a first Avenger that didn't end with him sinking the Tesseract and Red Skull and Hydra winning and him having to live in that dark future.
Sure.
Oh, that's interesting. What if also it could have ended? I've always thought, wouldn't it be interesting to see what would have happened? Because we're doing this Winter Soldier breakdown right now. And the whole point of Winter Soldier is that Steve's, we've all been on this, slippery slope for decades of living in fear in a chaotic world and, the Patriot Act, so we've surrendered certain freedoms that in the 40s would have been what? You let people do what? So Steve missed all that. What if Steve would have lived through those decades? Hell, what if Steve would have been brainwashed like the Winter Soldier? That's probably the most likely avenue for them to go,
Well, and I guess he does kind of live through those decades when he goes back in Endgame. So
but
maybe,
with Peggy. Yeah. That's true.
Maybe that Peggy dies. Maybe that Peggy gets killed on a SHIELD mission or something.
I like the idea of the Steve that went back in time and lived with Peggy and becomes Old Man Steve that we see at the end of Endgame. I like the idea of that Steve maybe being plucked out of time and experiencing the events of Doomsday and Secret Wars, and then come to find out that old man that gives Sam the shield and all that, he's already experienced